So a couple of the key things I learned from being the director of digital media for Anthony Zuiker, the creator of CSI, was the importance of transmedia storytelling. That is having content that branches out from your main narrative. The second one is hooking them from the beginning right away and then getting out as quick as possible as well. That is short, bite-sized chunks that are digestible for people. And the third takeaway is creating content that's relevant to your audience and relevant to the conversation that's happening today. For example, with Cybergeddon, we focused on the area of cybercrime, which is a very prevalent issue in this day and age. In regards to brand integration with digital content, I think that moving forward, brands are going to have to be much more careful in terms of how they are a part of a lot of this content. I think consumers today are much more savvy with regards to whether being pitched a product and when they're finding something that just works organically with what's happening on screen. I think Cybergeddon did both of those. It was very natural for us to partner with Symantec that produces Norton Antivirus for a movie that talks about cybercrime and has cybercrime as its subject matter. But I felt that the branding within the show was a little overboard and put a lot of people off in terms of their experience. I think a really effective approach for brand integration and content is to just find ways to be organic about it and be less on the nose and less worried about getting your product in there. I think that consumers recognize when they like something and when they don't like something, and they don't need to see a brand's logo or product splashed all over the place. I think that there are really natural, organic places for brands to integrate, and they just have to be careful about how featured they're trying to be. Personally, I find that there's a lot of value in having it be Cybergeddon presented by Symantec. I think that's all you need. The second we start trying to put in Norton Antivirus and Symantec logos and brands all over, that's where we heard feedback from consumers that felt like it was a little bit too much of a commercial, that they were being too much pitched a product, as opposed to just saying, oh, it's really cool that Symantec sponsored this movie about cybercrime. As a director, my approach to my style and how I shoot something is largely dependent on the story that's being told, as opposed to the device that it's being consumed on. In terms of digital content and multi-platform storytelling, Pemberley Digital and Bernie Sue have really figured out a process that works for them. From a production process, they have managed to create a scenario by which they're able to shoot very quickly with very limited setups and sometimes get 40, 50, 60 plus pages a day. They're able to capture a lot of content in a very short amount of time. In regards to their social media component, they've really taken the approach that all of this is planned out and scripted. This is not an afterthought. It's built into the scripts, it's built into what you're shooting, and it's built into the story that you're telling from the very, very beginning. They have, they have a massive plan on when, where, and how each component, whether it's a tweet, whether it's an Instagram post, or whether it's a video, a Q&A question, how are all those working together within the context of the story overall? For example, one of the things that I thought they did very well in Lizzie Bennett was there was a sister that was featured for the first 20 or so episodes. She would pop up every now and then. And then, like in the book, she disappears for, probably more than a year, a good 6-7 months. Now, within the main video content, she was gone. You never really saw her. But if you were following the storyline on Twitter, if you were following her on Twitter, you were getting a wholly different experience in regards to that character and what she was doing. She did not just disappear. She had a whole storyline that could have been followed if you were following her character on Twitter. And the amount of prep and planning that goes into that all starts with, one, the type of story that they're telling, and two, the writers sitting in a room and not just going, oh, what's this character doing, what's this person saying, but really looking at all the components they have available. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Q&As, all that kind of stuff, and saying, how do we integrate this as a whole into this one immersive experience? Is this short film I directed called Resignation. I partnered with a company called New Velocity Media and the Shadow Gang to develop this short as a showcase for a piece of technology they have called Multipop. Multipop is a content player that allows for in-viewing multi-platform experience. So while you're watching the video, you have all these other windows around it that are allowing for social media interaction, ancillary content popping up. Anything that you can think of, you can sort of deliver into these windows. So what's really cool and really exciting about Resignation was we built this from the ground up to exist within this player. Our story is the story of a former superhero who has turned his back on fighting crime, is 45 years old, and has been wandering the earth as a combat journalist, just thrusting himself into the most dangerous situations imaginable. And it's while on one of these DEA raids that he encounters a situation in which he decides to not save a person's life and must then deal with the consequences of that.